Peace, y'all. My name is Kawanis Ellison. I'm an author, medicine woman, oracle, and pattern disruptor. And this is the Move the Hell On series. This series was inspired by the desire to help people realize that healing is indeed a journey. It's only lifelong if you claim it will be. Does it make sense to live in a reality where you will always feel broken, where your wounds will never close? That just doesn't make any sense to me. Make it make sense. That sounds absolutely ridiculous. So, if you are someone who truly believes that we create our realities, then why will we ever have to exist in a reality where we would not be completely healed? So, that's the purpose of this series. One way of helping ourselves move on is to become aware that everything in our lives is running off of pattern and or program. When we understand the mechanism behind our patterning, then we're able to change, reroute, and repattern our lives. You don't need to escape your programming altogether. In order to be here with a physical body, in order for the body to work, it has to run off a program. The key here is becoming aware of what program you're running and choosing the programs that you'll run. The love program is honestly my favorite program. I'm a lover girl. But then some people choose a program of being a bitter hater their whole lives. You know, everybody can just do what they want to do. So before we dive into pattern recognition and how to actually free yourselves from the cycles of things that keep on happening, I want to set a foundation for how I view things. I am someone who doesn't necessarily ask people for advice, but I will ask for perspective. I'm very open to perspective. And when it comes to the healing path, I don't look at things as right or wrong. I look at it as helpful or not helpful. There are 1,000 ways to the path to liberation, and there are 1,000 ways to skin a cat. So my path is not the path, it's just a single path. What are we liberating ourselves from anyway? This is false ideas about who and what we are that cause us cycles of suffering. Suffering is not necessary. Boo to suffering. No one who's ever come into my classroom didn't already know this on some level. I'm not really teaching you. I'm helping you remember so you can free your own mind from whatever has it stuck in different cycles. Whatever it is that you believe needs to support your freedom. If it doesn't serve your freedom, then you can stop believing it whenever you want to. Beliefs are just ideas about something. Beliefs are just ideas. Beliefs are just ideas. So today, we are starting off by demystifying patterns and why you do what you do through an integration of different frameworks. Also, I'm not going to say boo to suffering. Suffering just is what it is. All of this is what it is. So the bones of the framework I'm offering today are largely Tibetan Buddhist. But they are woven through my lived experiences as well as other systems. Nobody should be teaching anything that they have not necessarily lived. So we're looking at life through one lens. It's important to look at it through many, 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 many lenses in order to get as full a picture as possible. Let's take a look at this way of looking at consciousness, and I find it very helpful. Tibetan Buddhist framework looks at consciousness as a mind stream, a continuous flow from moment to moment. The stream continues from life to life. It cannot be destroyed, but it can be purified and redirected in many ways, and we'll talk about that throughout the series. This marries with the idea that everything that has happened in the history of history is encoded somewhere within our consciousness in what we call the mind. I am literally fascinated by the mind. It's so vast. So rather than having a soul with a fixed set of directives, the mind stream looks at consciousness as ever-flowing, dynamic, ever-changing, and evolving depending on the contents of the stream. So this is where someone might pose the question, well, what makes me me in this case? The contents of the stream make up the felt sense of self. This is the day-by-day continuum of your patterns, your habits, your memories, and the momentum of how you have been thinking, feeling, and reacting. This is what you know to be you. It's basically your program. You wake up in the morning and identify as you because of this continuum of patterns. Think about when there have been moments where you woke up in the morning and you like, I just don't feel like myself. These may have been moments where you were operating outside of your normal program, outside of your normal patterning, or where you may have been experiencing an ego death or like deep internal changes. This is why ego deaths be feeling really wild, because you are literally, when your ego is dying, you are literally repatterning in real time. And the set of patterns that you have known as you are deconstructing. So this is why some days you wake up and you're like, man, I just have no idea who I am. And it's as if you are a different person. It's because you are running a different program. This change can happen overnight. These are paradigm shifts. And this happens when you have changed the continuum of how you have been thinking, feeling, and reacting. If y'all cannot tell, this gets me really excited. So if we look at consciousness like a stream, right, a question arises around the quality of the contents of your stream. What is the quality of your water? Is it muddy or clear? Would you drink from your own water? Would you want that going into your body? You know you. So answer honestly. And it's basically asking what habits, patterns, memories are making up the continuum of your life, guiding the direction of your life, and making up the sense of who you feel, like who you know as you. The mind stream is always flowing and changing, but the momentum is based off of your lineage, past circumstances, choices, patterns, memories, and thoughts. My belief is that because of cause and effect, every life is not made the same, meaning that if consciousness is indeed a continuum, then the present life is manifested from the contents of this continuum. And then that means that we each begin at different starting points. We each begin with different momentum, things going in different directions, different deficiencies, different affinities. And these things are already in motion. It's neither good or bad, fair or unfair. It just is what it is because of cause and effect. The point of knowing this is to really begin to depersonalize this stuff, and to ask like what patterns need to be purified, and then what new patterns you need to create so that you can positively affect the momentum of your own life. The point of self-development is so that you can affect your stream of consciousness in a positive way. Otherwise, you remain deficient in areas where you were literally born with no aptitude and no knowledge. Like you have to develop certain things. The stream isn't just flowing through this one lifetime that's important to know. It's a collection of multiple lifetimes, your ancestors' experiences, the entire history of your consciousness. All of this is affecting the present you. So every lineage is not created equal. Some people are born spiritually rich because of the work of their predecessors. And then some people are born spiritually deficient, but into systems where they easily cultivate material gain, again, because of the choices and the work of their predecessors. This is neither good or bad, it just is. So we can look at natural skill and talent as positive patterns that have very strong momentum. Just because these positive patterns are present, though, doesn't mean a person is going to tap into them. It's still choice. At the end of the day, all of this is choice. Ultimately, it gets to the point of conscious choice. So let's look at life purpose then from this lens. What you might call your life's purpose or your soul's purpose can be looked at as a directional buildup of memories, impressions, and patterns pulling you in a certain direction. I frame it this way because it's been helpful for me to understand that there is nothing that I have to be doing, and there is no one that I have to be, but rather I decide whether I want to ride the momentum of the patterns that show up in my life in positive ways. This puts the choice back in your life when you understand what's driving you, or rather what's pulling you, is a collection of cross-dimensional habits, cross-life patterns, memories, and desires. None of this is personal, again, and it's really, really important to depersonalize this for the healing aspect. This helps you understand what's driving your life in a certain direction and understand that there's nothing outside of you, but rather there's this internal force of momentum created by your consciousness's history, your desires, and also your aversions, also the things that you do not want. When we are strongly averse to things, then that creates its own type of magnetism. This is where we see certain patterns that want to work themselves out through our aversions, through what we do not want, what we are strongly against in our lives. I've mentioned the word momentum a few times, and so what exactly is momentum in this context? Think about a boulder rolling down a hill. The longer the boulder rolls, the faster it goes, and the faster it goes, the harder it is to stop. It creates a groove in the ground that makes it easier to roll in the same path again once it has gone through that path multiple times. So your patterns work in the same way. Every time you think the same thought, feel the same feeling, and react the same way, you're adding speed to the boulder. It's like you put it at the top of the hill, and it's like you push it faster and faster the more you do the same thing. You're also deepening the groove. So, in essence, the more you do something that does not support your growth, the more you drive yourself in the direction of hindrance of growth. The more you do something that supports your healing and evolution, the more you drive yourself in the direction of healing and evolution, to where in either direction, when you continue the momentum in that direction, you start to go that way naturally. The same goes for our predecessors and inherited patterns. The more a pattern has been repeated in a lineage, the more speed it gains. This is where the cycle breakers come in and assemble. You know what I'm saying? Over time, patterns gain enough momentum to become self perpetuating. What that means is they become a program that runs on its own, whether you're thinking about it or not. And this program not only begins to drive your behavior, but it creates circumstances for the program to continue itself. So it will draw in moments that are perfect for the reenactment of this pattern just so it can continue. On the positive side of this, when you repattern yourself for things like love, compassion, intimacy, and healthy relationships, you start to attract those things naturally because that is a pattern that will strive for its own continuation over time. But on the flip side, if a person is heavily patterned for something like addiction or codependency, then the more you lean into the momentum of those patterns, the more you would draw in circumstances that create more of those patterns. In order to stop a heavy pattern with great momentum, it needs to be stopped, it needs to be met with equal or a greater amount of force. Force in this case is intention, consistency, outside support. This is your prayers, this is your spiritual practice. Remember that self perpetuating patterns will follow the path of least resistance. So that means for an addiction pattern, the path of least resistance is to give in to the cravings. Um, I'm not only referring to substance addiction, but repatterning any type of addiction can be a difficult thing to do. The fuel for addiction is craving. So, stopping the momentum of any pattern that has gotten out of your control requires you to become strong enough to stand in front of that boulder and be like, boy, no way, boy, like, stop. But sometimes we need support. We need more than one person to help us get in front of it, right? So, this is where you look at making different choices, even in small ways, even if you don't always get it right. But the more you get in front of that pattern, it's like putting your reps in. This is shooting in a gym. The more you repeat, the stronger you get. The more you repeat, the more you gain more strength to be able to stop the boulder. And this brings you one step closer to moving the hell on. If this resonated with you, subscribe below. This is an ongoing series where I break down the frameworks in practical, understandable ways. I also have a 10-week pattern recognition and integration cohort where we explore these concepts in depth and break these patterns in real time. It's been beautiful to work with these groups in this way. If you want to go deeper, check out my book, What Was Planted Here Before I Arrived, A Journey of Reimagining Your Patterns. If you are US based, please order directly from me. If you are international, you can order from Amazon. I've dropped the direct link in the description below. And I will see y'all next time. Bye bye.